Hello, my name is Brittany Klinke, and today I just want to go over some details about our upcoming senior trip. Together with Mr. Holtrap, we have been planning this trip and we're really looking forward to it, but want to make sure you guys feel informed about everything we've planned. So in lieu of a parent meeting, we thought a little online tutorial would be helpful just to make sure that you feel informed. So for this presentation, what we'll be doing is going over basically some details both on the pre-departure side of things as well as while we're in Florida, and some details to know. So let's first talk about our pre-departure details. The first thing is I just want to introduce you to the list of chaperones and the people who will be attending our trip with us. We're really excited that these adults have decided to join us, and I think it's going to be a great group. The second thing is just to go over some packing information, both so you just know what to kind of gather or if there are things that you need to purchase before we leave. We are flying in a typical airline, and so with that, you get one checked suitcase, one carry-on, and one personal item for your luggage. Students, I do encourage you to pack whatever you need in your carry-on during the first couple hours of our time in Orlando, because once you arrive at the hotel, your bags will be ushered up to your room, but you might not necessarily get access to those. So if you wanted to bring a change of clothes or your suit or something, I just encourage you to put that in your carry-on just in case you don't have access to your checked bag when we first arrive. In terms of clothes to bring, I encourage you just to pack for our warm weather in Florida, which I'm sure we're all excited about. But one thing to note is we will have some cooler nights, so I encourage you to bring a jacket or something that you can layer, so in case it gets a little colder, you're prepared. We will have some days where there'll be a good amount of walking, especially our park day, so I encourage you to pack some good walking shoes. In terms of dress code, obviously it's a little bit different than the dress code that we have during the school day and school year, but some of the same principles apply. Obviously modesty is a must, so please dress in a way that's appropriate and honoring of some of the expectations we have as a school culture. Some of the differences I just want to highlight that students are welcome to wear. The first one being sweatpants. Students are more than welcome to wear them, especially on our travel days. But we do request that, like being in the hotel lobby or out and about in Orlando or at the parks, that they don't wear sweatpants. First of all, it probably will be a little hot for that, but also we just want to maintain a level of professionalism. We ask, though, that all leggings be kept at home, so just avoid packing those all together or wearing them on our trip. Both guys and girls are welcome to wear shorts, including athletic shorts. Just please make sure they're the appropriate length. Same with tank tops. Both guys and girls are welcome to wear them. We just ask that you abide by that 3-finger width policy for the tank top, so no kind of skinny spaghetti strap tank tops. We encourage you to bring a bathing suit if you're interested in swimming. Our hotel has an awesome pool, and so it's definitely something that students like to do. One thing that we do ask for guys, no Speedos please, and girls, we just ask that you wear either a one-piece suit or a 2-piece tankini that connects at the waistline, so it is essentially one piece. Other items to bring and just kind of have on your radar. The first one obviously is a valid ID. Because we are flying and going through security, we will need a form of identification. For most students, that's a driver's license. For some, it's a passport. If you're under the age of 18 and don't have either of those items, you can bring a birth certificate, and we just ask that the students bring the original copy of those for their time getting through security. If they're forgotten or lost, we will do our best to troubleshoot with students, but any costs that may be acquired from that will unfortunately have to be at the family's expense. We are going to collect a copy, like a physical paper copy of whatever valid ID the students are choosing to bring next week. So we just ask that the students either copy their driver's license or their passport or their birth certificate and give that copy to Mr. Holtrap during next week's meetings. In terms of weather changes, sometimes it rains while we're there. It's never for long, so we just encourage students to bring an umbrella or a raincoat just from home, because if it does rain and they're wanting to purchase those in Disney, those can be rather expensive. So bringing just an umbrella or a poncho from home can help avoid those costs. Also, make sure that you have sunscreen, suntan lotion as we are adjusting to sunny weather. In terms of money, we will be providing food or funds for most meals while we are there, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The only thing that isn't included is money that students may need for any airport meals or snacks, or potentially one lunch while we're there, but we think actually the gift card that we're giving students will cover all meals. So in terms of dollar amount, I think $100 is more than enough for those snacks or souvenirs or things that students want to purchase while we are in Florida. But we do encourage you to bring some snacks. We won't have time necessarily to shop for granola bars or things while we're there, so if students want to bring some things from home, more than welcome to help carry them over between meals. We do ask, though, that you honor our no nut policy with any snacks that you bring from home. One thing that we did want to note is a little note from our school nurse. Julie Grant will be accompanying us on the trip, which we're really excited about and grateful for her presence. But a couple things just to make sure she's set up for success during our time together. If your student is on any prescription medications, we just ask that they bring only enough of that medication with them for the trip duration, and also in that prescription bottle. So it may require you to empty the bottle a little bit and only put a little in while you're traveling, but that just helps us a lot. Also, make sure that if you have an EpiPen that you bring that with you, students. You're more than welcome, students, to administer your drugs or medications yourself, but we just ask that you notify the nurse and tell her, Mrs. Grant, that you're taking those drugs. Families, if you are wanting Julie to administer these drugs or carry them, she's more than welcome. Just please reach out to her and coordinate those details. We really rely on your student's Magnus account in case there is an emergency and we need to access their medical records. So please make sure your account in Magnus is up to date. So if there's been any changes in medications or certain illnesses or medical records, just please make sure that account is updated. If it does need to be changed, go ahead and do so, but also notify Julie, our school nurse, to make sure she's aware of these new conditions. Also, for some of you may have conditions or illnesses that may have some restrictions due to the rides, so we are happy to partner with you on that and just make sure that your safety is maintained while you're participating in some of the rides at Disney in light of some medical conditions. One thing we do want to go over, and we will go over this more in person with the students, but we do have some expectations of behavior. They are students who have been with us for a while, so these are not new expectations for our students, but we just want to make sure we go over them with parents as well. Obviously, the overarching principle is that we just ask students to respect each other. We want to make sure we are respecting our group, respecting the people we're interacting with, whether that's the hotel or other guests or people at Disney, and we just want to make sure we're honoring and loving others well. We just ask that you honor that dress code that I mentioned earlier. Just don't bring anything that is off limits, and just help that whole process be smooth. Obviously, there's going to be no use of alcohol, cigarettes, drug, or vaporizers while we are on the trip. A very zero tolerance on those things. Participation is required. We will be having sessions, some opportunities of sharing, some opportunities of hearing from each other, and so anything that is on the agenda that we'll give to students in the coming weeks, we do ask them to be there. And so that just helps us make sure we keep tabs on everyone, and also everyone is participating in the really fun things that we have planned. Room expectations are pretty straightforward. The guys are not allowed in the girls' wing, and vice versa. Those are just reserved for that gender. Also, we expect students to be in their rooms during the curfew hour that we'll explain to students. Again, that just helps us make sure that everyone is safe and accounted for, and also respecting the timeline that we've put in place. Speaking of time, we have a big group, and so it's really important that people are where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be there. We'll communicate those times to students, and sometimes we might have to be a little flexible depending on what's happening that day or weather, etc. But when a time is communicated to students, we really expect them to be there on time, because that helps the whole group move quickly and smoothly. As mentioned before, we have a nut policy of no nuts at Wheaton Academy, and we just ask that you respect that with things that you're eating or buying or bringing to make sure all students stay safe. And then finally, there will be some time for independence where students can go off during some free times. We just ask that all students stay in groups of 3 or more. You'll never be able to go alone or with another person, but by staying in groups of 3 rather, we just make sure that everyone stays safe and has people with them at all times. The goal of our trip obviously is community. We are really excited to create some space for our senior class to reflect on the time that they've had at Wheaton Academy, and also think of what launching and ending well looks like. So really we're focusing on that as a group, but know that if that at any point gets violated by some student behavior or attitudes, the school does reserve the right to send a student home if there are any discipline issues that the student has been called out on. If that is the case, hopefully it won't be, but if that does have to happen, the family will be responsible for any resulting costs of sending that student home. We will be having some pre-trip assemblies just to make sure that students feel prepared as well. So we'll be gathering as a senior class twice before we leave. So we just ask that students mark your calendars and make sure you're at school during those times to make sure you know some of these expectations, as well as how to maximize our time at Disney. So that goes over the pre-departure details. Let's go over some things to know about our actual trip. First of all, listed there is our flight information for our Friday departure as well as our Monday arrival. We'll be giving students the actual flight numbers in our meeting, but just know that those are the timeline and times that students need to coordinate rides both to the airport as well as home. We did our best to honor everyone's rooming assignments, so these are the following list of the room groupings that we put our students in. We tried again to honor at least one person that you've requested for your rooms. Here is the list of the girl rooms. And here is a list of the guy rooms. Finally, we just want to give you an overview of our itinerary. Again, during those pre-trip meetings with our students, we'll be giving more details, but parents, this just gives you a little overview of what we're going to be doing each day. Friday is a travel day, and we will have time at our hotel, time to go to Disney Springs. We'll have a night session that day, which will be a really, really great time to kick off the trip. Saturday, we spend the entire day in Disney to maximize our time there, and all 4 parks, and students usually love that day. Sunday, we'll have some more sessions, some more time as a class, time to spend at the pool and the boardwalk and other activities near our hotel. And then Monday will be our wrap-up day, in which we'll spend some time again together as a class, also take a group to Disney Springs, and ultimately come home that night. Thank you for your time of watching this video. If you have any questions, please contact us, specifically Jim Holtrop at that email. If you don't see your name on these lists or you have any questions, please contact us immediately because we'd love to remedy those issues. Thanks again for listening, and we will be seeing you soon, students.